Empty your mind. Be formless. Be shapeless, like water. Put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. Put water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Put water in a teacup, it becomes the teacup. Water, it can crash or it can flow. Be water, my friend. Some of you may recognize those words from the amazing philosopher and martial artist Bruce Lee. I actually first heard about this concept and these words in Rome, Italy, and I'm going to share that story with you in a second. But before I do, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Tasleem, and this channel is called Tasleem Laila. And today I'm going to be talking to you about how Bachata and Zouk, the two dances, taught me how to be water and actually connected me to my sacral chakra. If you're not sure what I mean by the water element or about the sacral chakra, I will go into that as well. But like I said, I'm going to tell you about my story about Rome first. So I was kind of stranded in Rome. I know, not a bad place to be stranded. This was years ago, but I got a hotel. I got an amazing deal on a hotel that was really far away from the center of Rome, but I love staying at that place. So I would take a bus into the main city to see all the historical sites and be around the Roman people more, like be around, the old cobblestone roads and the old historic buildings. And but this like commute from where I was staying to the center was not just long, but the only way that I knew of to get there was this bus that I don't even know why there was a bus schedule, because it was completely unreliable. And it just took its own time. Sometimes it showed up an hour late or 2 hours late, and sometimes it just decided never to show up. So one night I was in the center and I realized that the bus wasn't going to come. And it was evening and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I was in this cafe restaurant, and I met this guy. He came over. He was a young guy, and he was actually from Morocco, I believe. His name was Tariq, and I won't forget this guy because he was a martial artist himself, and he was so into Bruce Lee's teachings. And he asked me if I knew about this be water concept. And I was like, no, I've not heard of it. So he shared with me a video of Bruce Lee saying these words in a video. And it was so passionate and so emphatic. And you could just feel what he was feeling. And I highly recommend you go see that video. I will link it below. I didn't do justice to the words when I said them earlier, but I just had goosebumps. Like this idea of being water and what water could do and how powerful it was, crashing and flowing. I just loved it. And I thought I kind of understood it, but of course it's very different to understand something with your head versus actually experiencing it and, feeling it. So little did I know I was going to be practicing being water very shortly after that. So Thark and I got to talking more, and he learned about my situation being stranded where I was, and he offered to give me a ride back to where I was staying. Normally, I would be a little standoffish, or I would not be sure about this. I'm not in a place that I'm familiar with, and I don't know him, but he seemed I got this gut feeling that I could be safe with him. I didn't really have another choice, and so I accepted. And we're walking out of the restaurant, and I was kind of following him to thinking that we're going to a car, and instead he hands me a helmet. And I was like, what's this? And he said, oh, I rode here on my motorbike. And I was like, oh my God. The thing is, I had only been on a motorbike once before, and it was a short ride in a city like in Vancouver. This was going to be at night with a stranger, and it was a long road. Kind of almost felt like a highway, so like he could be going really fast. I was just nervous all around, and he could probably feel that, but I got on the bike anyway, and he made it really comfortable for me as much as he could. And I, like I just got on and he started riding, and um, he probably was going slower than he should have just to make me more comfortable. But the thing is, as much as he was trying to make me comfortable, I could feel like I was holding back, and I was kind of like making the ride uncomfortable for me and him because I'm holding on to him. I'm sure he could feel my nervousness, um and after a little while, I still to this day don't know whether it was his voice saying it out loud or me just hearing it in my head. But like I felt the wind in my face, and I felt like I wasn't breathing properly because I inhaled but I hadn't let the exhale out. I was just so like tight and constrained in my nervousness. But I heard, "Be water, my friend." And in that moment, I just let go. Like I exhaled. I felt my arms relax. I was still hanging on to him, but I felt like maybe he felt me relax. I wasn't so scared about the wind or the speed. I think he actually started speeding up, and I felt like I was actually going with the bends and the roads, and like, moving with him and actually enjoying the ride, and realizing like how amazing this was, that the universe actually was helping me, and like being appreciative of it instead of scared and nervous, and like enjoying it and being grateful. So fast forward a couple of years later, and don't worry, I got back safe. Thark got me back to where I needed to be, safe and sound. um a few years later, I'm at a Bachata Kizomba festival. Some people from Vancouver are there. And one of my friends, Jason, wanted to take a Zouk class. We had taken a couple of workshops. I wasn't really familiar with Zouk, but I was intrigued by it. And Jason wanted to take a private lesson with Rial. For those of you who are Zouk dancers, you know who Rial is. Henry Rial from Zen Zouk. He's an amazing performer and instructor. And I ended up being Jason's partner in the class, and I felt kind of foolish at first because I could feel that I was being really robotic in my movements. We were just doing the basic step, but I was just being really like going with the motion, but not really feeling it. And at one point, Rial kind of stopped me and sort of said, even in the basic in Zouk, like what you want to be feeling, like that you're dancing Zouk if you can feel, if you can be water. And it was like ding ding ding, like the flashback came back to me, like Rome, Thark, motorbike, stranded, Bruce Lee, be water, my friend, letting go. And I was like, I have felt that before. I know what that feels like. And I'm not saying I did the Zouk dancing amazing that day, but the concept and the reminder of what this should feel like actually gave me something to head towards. And then I got so excited because I knew what I was aiming for. I knew I had felt it before. And the chance to actually feel that again through a dance, I was like, sign me up. And I just kept Zouk dancing after that because I wanted to feel that. I wanted to know what that felt like through dance. And the thing is that this idea of water, it has so many different avenues that you can take it here, because with water, and I'm referring to the element in Chinese medicine, that concept of water actually is, it's the fluidity, it's the flow, it's not fighting against the grain of things, it's having faith, believing, it's letting go, it's surrendering, it's enjoying, it's such a huge thing to learn, not just in dance but in our lives. And so Zouk, for me to be able to teach me how to do that in my body, actually started helping me do that in other areas of my life. And the thing is, the water element in Chinese medicine, is the beginning of the cycle of elements. So it's actually like where we start in the cycle of elements, and it's the only element that has two archetypes, and one of them is like this playful child, innocent, dreamy, creative, really like believing in things, not feeling like judging others, not feeling like they could be harmed. And then the other part of it is being a philosopher water type. So you're really diving in deep into things. You really cherish like the power of words and of the arts, and you like having meaningful, deep conversations, and kind of like Bruce Lee's like philosopher mindset, So the water element is really deep and artistic and creative and dreamy, and this is something that is in all of us. Even if your dominant element is not water, we all have water in us, and the water element is part of us. And the thing is that over time, it often gets shoved down, it gets pushed aside. We are taught to ignore it or be ashamed of it sometimes, because it is connected to like childlike stuff, being a little bit too dreamy and in the clouds, and not being practical and living life like an adult. But the thing is that all the parts of us, all those elements are actually important in us. And with water, that gives us our creativity, that gives us our flow, it helps us connect to other areas of our lives. And how this relates to the second chakra is that the second chakra is just below the belly button and above the like the pelvic area, and that's like the womb. Donna Eden, who's an amazing healer she's a medicine, energy medicine healer. She calls this the womb chakra, because it's like where, the idea of birthing a baby is in that area, like the baby sits there in the womb in the water element. But it's also about birthing creative ideas and having like dreams and birthing your desires and play and innocence. So the water element and the second chakra are very, very connected. The chakra is an energy center in our body, and that sacral chakra sits in that womb kind of area. So the sacral chakra is meant to have energy flow through it and out of it, and all the chakras are supposed to flow in and out of each other. They all work together. But we often get blockages in different chakras. And the thing is, the sacral chakra is, because it's about play and innocence and dreams and artistry, and oftentimes how that can be blocked is by society telling us that our dreams are silly, that we need to put away our childish things, that arts and creativity are not practical. What are you going to do with that in your life? The sacral chakra is all about, also about pleasure, and sometimes we get shamed in terms of sexual pleasure or connecting to our real sexuality. We get told that it's wrong, or it's not, what we're choosing is not the right path. So we start shoving that down because we're trying to please other people and do what's right. So the sacral chakra and the water element can often be pushed aside and ignored. But the thing is, it's a part of our body. Like, the sacral chakra is there for a reason. It's a spinning energy center that connects with all the other energy centers. And the water element is in all of us, and we need to actually tap into that to allow ourselves to flow with life, to be creative, to tap into what we want, what we desire, and to be that playful kid, because we're supposed to have pleasure in our life and fun. But when it gets shoved down, it can actually cause a lot of issues. It can cause the blockages, and it can also often lead to illness or even disease. And one of the best ways to unblock any chakra, but especially the sacral chakra, because it's so connected to our emotions, is to move, to dance, especially because that kind of movement is not jarring on our system. It's fun. It taps us into the playfulness and connecting to our body and our sensations. And it does it in a kind, gentle way that allows the energy to flow and allows the energy center to get unblocked and allows us to connect back to the water element. So the reason that this is really important is because the emotions, like, a lot of times people can refer to the sacral chakra also as the emotion center. We hold a lot of emotions in that area. And even Anna Judith, who's another amazing healer, she talks about how emotions are meant to move, and it is actually says it in the word emotion. E means out, and motion means to move. It comes from mover, the word mover. So move out, you need to move out the emotions. They're meant to flow through you and out. And same with the energy centers and the water element. It helps us flow and be fluid and move out through our system and allow joy and fun and pleasure in our lives. So when we have blockages, dancing and movement is one of the best ways to allow that flow to happen again. The reason that Bachata and Zouk, for me in particular, connected me to this water element is that Zouk itself, like I said, Rial really highlighted for me that it's like being water, like you're really flowing. But also the movements in Zouk are very flowing, like the lateral movement, the figure eights are very like water to me. The basic step has a bit of a wave in it. There are movements called waves and sways. And to me, it was very different than learning salsa or kizomba or learning, whether it was even like a non-partner dance, like hip hop or groove, or learning belly dance. Like to me, I really connected deeply with the waves and the curves and the flow of Zouk compared to like salsa. For me, I learned salsa a little bit more abruptly with LA style. It seemed faster, it seemed more linear. Zouk had a circular kind of figure eight movement throughout it for me. And the thing is that learning to tap into that helped me put that into my salsa or into my kizomba or into my body rolls in these other dances. So the music also for Zouk, I found, lent itself to that water, fluid flow, surrender feeling. And there was no like, you are stepping back on the right foot on 1 and you are stepping forward on the left foot on 5. It was like you really had to tap into the flow. I mean, pun intended or not, I'm not sure yet. But that water flow, tapping into it to feel where your lead wants to take you, because it's not sometimes in a straight line. It's not abrupt. It's not like necessarily a fast spin. You have to really feel into what the lead is doing. You can't just correct it because you know, oh yeah, I kind of fall off track, but I know I have to go forward on the left foot on 5. It doesn't work like that in Zouk. So Zouk really, really made me surrender to like this feeling of flow and fluidity, and really the rise and fall like waves of the ocean of water. And bachata, really interesting. I, like some of you out there maybe, I first learned bachata the modern way. I didn't learn the original bachata, the Dominican style, or the original Dominican bachata. I learned it as like sensual bachata, or more the modern bachata. So it had more of the flow, the depth, the waves, the up and down. It was less, again, it felt less linear like salsa did. It felt more like wavy, and I felt water there in terms of the element. But when I started learning the actual Dominican style bachata, I was having so much fun too in that style, because I was like, oh, there's all this fun footwork and it's playful, and you get to play around with the rhythms, and you know, train to like, maybe I'm gonna step with the bass instead of the guitar, or I'm gonna step on this beat instead of that beat. And there was so much play in it. It made me feel childlike. And I always got confused. I was like, some people say they like modern better. Some people say they like the Dominican, the original style better. And I couldn't decide, because on some days I felt like I wanted to do the Dominican, and some days I wanted to be like more sensual in the bachata. And now I realize why, because the water element, which is supposed to be my second prominent element, actually, like I said, has 2 archetypes. It has the baby, or the childlike water element archetype, but there's also the philosopher. And doing both of those styles helped me tap into both of those parts of water. So for me, like I said, for me, what really brought out the water element to me were these dances, Zouk and bachata. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that those are the only dances that can bring this out in you. Like for you, maybe you heavily resonate with water element, that flow and circular and figure eights in belly dance. Or maybe for you, the water element comes out a lot in kizomba, or it could even be in salsa. Some people are more in that flowy kind of feel in salsa. This is just personal to me. And I love how these dances can actually get us tuned in to these different elements and to these different chakras. And also, like I said, unblock places in our body that we don't even realize are being blocked. And once you get that flow back in your body, you make space for what you really want. So like some people go around saying like, oh, I'm just like this kind of person. Like I have this story from long ago. I thought I was just like not the fun, sporty, spontaneous person. But it wasn't true at all. I had things that were blocking that energy in me. I had fears, I had voices from people outside culture, society, that were telling me that some of the things that I was choosing or thought I wanted to do were wrong, or um, you know, that wouldn't help me later in my life. I probably had fears built up from other people's fears. So I didn't feel comfortable just playing and stuff like that. But dancing, bachata and zouk for me brought out the playfulness and unblocked these places where I was blocked. And that actually allowed me to make space for the playful, the fun, the spontaneous Tasleem that I didn't even know was in there, and it wanted to come out. So I wanted to share this with you because as you've probably heard in my other videos, I am really excited about learning about energy medicine and the spinning energies in us in the chakras, but also the 5 elements. And the fact for me that dance can connect me to this and connect you to these things that we already have in our bodies, but we need to express and have been shoved down. To me, that's amazing, because dance itself can be so fun. And we can choose an individual dance, whatever it is that sparks your interest. But I want you to realize that sometimes the reason that one dance sparks your interest more than another could very well be because that element you're missing a connection to in your life. It could be that that is a dominant element in your life that you've shoved aside, or someone made you shove aside and you didn't even know. It could be that a chakra in your body is blocked, that dance actually helps you bring out and tap back into. I wanted to share this quote from Dondi Dallen's book. I've mentioned this book before. That is amazing. It's called The 5 Elements, and it's by Dondi Dallen. And she has a quote in there about waters. For any of you who are water or think you might be a water element and have had to put aside some of your amazing talents and artistry, I leave you with this quote. Waters have mastery in their heads, and if we are lucky enough, they will record it in a book, in a song, or on the big screen. So being a water element, you quite possibly, hopefully this didn't happen to you, but it's possible that your dreaminess, your innocence, your playfulness, your artistry was, you were made to feel that that wasn't important and wasn't useful in life, or that you couldn't do as much with it as you wanted to. But Dondi is reminding us that actually without these amazing water element people, we wouldn't have all these incredible, passionate things that we love to do, like music, or love to listen to or watch theater, music. And we all have some water in us, so we need to tap into those dreams and that creativity. So thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you all soon.